set now for the juvenile fillies to 14 of them across the track. Here's Saint on their way. End of the dance on the outside, broke a little sideways, but broke okay. But meanwhile, it's going to be stopping, but running on now. And Somali Lemonade's got 8 to make up. They come to the top of the lane. Stop shopping. Maria's got a lot left. Stop shopping. Maria goes on. Sweet Cat is right there. Hard not to right. Royal Body is running on. Past the 8 ball, they come. Stop shopping. Maria for the run. Still under a hand right as they come to the 16th. Stephanie's Kitten coming out late. Yes, Stephanie's Kitten coming fast. Stephanie's Kitten. Stop shopping, Maria. Stephanie's Kitten's watered. Watch the chances, broke smartly, but so did Terra from the Cape. On the inside, Sky Lantern the Grey going well. If he can get through. Sky Lantern the Grey looking for somewhere to run. Wide open. It's Terra from the Cape hanging on. Terra from the Cape tries to go all the way. On the outside now, here comes Flotilla in the light blue. Flotilla is absolutely flying. Watch the chances in there too. But Flotilla has gone right on by. And Flotilla is coming home to score. Flotilla has won it just about 2 in the end. It'll be Watch the Chances, Summer of Fun coming on to finish third.
From the backstretch at Saratoga, this is the Handicappers Report. The Handicappers Report is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. The new Capital OTB wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with the new Capital OTB wagering platform. And CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report on Travers Day 2021. And as our good friend and partner, colleague Brian Nadeau, who's down at Gulfstream Park, likes to say, when you leave the Travers Stakes, boy, you can almost feel autumn closing in. Well, it's about 12 hours early because, well, I've been here over an hour, and I had a jacket. If I didn't have a jacket, a hoodie would have been okay. For temperature, Seth, Merrow, this might be about as good as it gets.
Looking sharp today.
Thank you. Thank you.
For Travers Day. I drove in, and as I looked at just as I got close to here, I looked down at the dashboard, and it was 66. So it's super comfortable. This may be the first morning I have been in here where the lights are super noticeable for us, as it is a little bit overcast still. But all of that said, super day. I mean, this is probably weather-wise, if not the best, one of the best, because typically it's either been raining or it's been like a sauna. And today it's perfect.
It's always funny because, you know, you walk around, you move and groove on this day and everything. Cloud cover is good. It might not be Chamber of Commerce, but it's nice to go around and you don't have to worry about the sun. You go outside, you enjoy all the people and the horses, and it's very comfortable with the cloud cover. And I think that's what we're gonna have. I don't think it's gonna get very hot today. The racing is fantastic. We have 13. Remember, post time is 11:35. Obviously, if you're watching, you remember that the Handicappers Report is 8:05, or you're upset because you don't have Steve Bick on the radio or whatever we run in the morning, the racing. But everything's moved up 90 minutes because it's going to be 11:35, 13 races. I know it sounds funny, but being one of those people, Seth, that has been to the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness early in the morning, it's nice that there's action at 11:35. It makes for a long day, but there's many people. They still have the running of the bulls at 7 a.m. for the picnic tables.
I'm assuming. I didn't see the TV this morning,
so,
but I assume.
Yeah, you sit here till 1 o'clock waiting for racing. That's a long time. But 11:35, we're gonna go through the first 6 races, sort of quickly, maybe like Gamine. Then we'll take a break, and then we'll really delve into the 6 stakes races. I have to tell you, I don't know where the majority of our people get their past performances. I think in this day and age, downloading's popular. Boy, to see the DRF was who I use, to see those gold trophies that they put on races, which are the grade 1s. They have a silver for grade 2s and a bronze looking one. And when I went to download Travers Day, just to see the murderer's row of it, similar obviously to Belmont Stakes Day, the New York Race Association does a great job with them. And quick note yesterday, a couple of things we talked about. Make Mischief, I thought she was terrific in defeat. There were some questions. I thought you had to bet against her. She was better than I thought. She's now lost back-to-back on Breeders' Day here as the favorite. Last year she lost to Seeking the Ante. And how about City Man? Wins his second one. He won the funny side a couple years ago. Now wins on the turf, the West Point.
I'm going to have Dean Reeves on Racing Across America. One was City Man. He also won with Senbai a little bit earlier in the card, who looked really good.
There's so much to do today, but I have to tell you that performance, that horse ran hard every step of the way, hard. Like he attacked the dirt. And I thought that was a pretty darn good 2-year-old New York State bred race, and he was better than everybody.
Winner's Circle afterwards. I'm just looking at the fractions here because Dean Reeves in the Winner's Circle.
Now, were you down in the Winner's Circle?
Yeah, he said, I was in the Winner's Circle for City Man, but he commented on Senbei, and he said,
he was
that 22 and 44, I was a little bit worried. Then in the stretch, he pulls away.
He was dynamic. I don't know what figure he got or anything, but I was watching it, almost my jaw dropping about how hard he was running and being able to keep it up. So that's in our rearview mirror today. Just
let me just run over the guest list.
Boy.
Last couple of days we've been running around taping pieces. So there's some tape pieces, a couple of live guests. But at the draw the other day, Ken McPeak, of course, King Fury, Swiss Skydiver, Robertina Diodoro with Keep Me in Mind. We got those at the draw the other day. Greg Foley will join us live. He has the really nice sconson. Talked to Greg on the phone when we're usually in the studio a couple of months ago. We were talking about sconson as she was racing really well down at Churchill this spring, early summer. And we said, if you're up in Saratoga, come sit in with us. So we'll have Greg to talk a little bit about sconson coming up this afternoon in the Ballerina. Taped a nice probably 10, 12 minutes with Todd Pletcher over at his barn a couple of days ago. His barn's right next to Chad Brown, so as we were driving out, swung by and caught a couple of minutes with Chad, so we'll talk dynamic one with Todd and more. He has plenty in. And Miles D with Chad Brown, and then Dean Reeves. After the 2 stakes wins yesterday, I asked him to come on over as well. So big show, Racing Across America at the top of the hour.
All right. Travers Day 2021 kicks off with 2-year-olds. Maiden special weights, open company, a mile 16th on the inner.
8, 1, 3, and 10. Speaking Scout, I just thought this was kind of interesting. It was a private purchase off a decent little second place finish at Colonial, and that they reached out off of that. The buyer doesn't jump off the page at you, but took the lead and then got caught. There's a sibling called Voila Babe, 7th, then a couple of 3rds, and 1 in the 4th career start. There's some workouts underneath here that are pretty good. Graham Motion does well when a horse moves into his barn. So I thought Luis Saez on board and maybe start the day with an 8-1 play.
We are not getting 8-1.
So you don't think so?
No.
With the buyer?
They haven't put it up yet, but this is
the
same. This is the horse I think that's.
Well, there's a Chad Klarvich runner in
Well,
there.
I think, I think we're going to be. I'm not saying we're going to be 7-5. Seth. We're going to be, and Rinaldi floated between 3-5 and 4-5.
Yeah.
Yesterday, that we talked about.
And got blitzed with the old-fashioned rabbit.
Well, I have to say, quickly about this. Talk about pacing. If you want 2 races to show you, I thought his effort was dynamic, losing the New York bred race, and he had everything his own way in the open company. And I thought his defeat yesterday was very noble. But if you want to see,
at the top of the stretch, you thought, oh, maybe
he's still there, still there. Yeah. But I think Speaking Scout is going to get bet here. I think for all the reasons, we're in agreement here.
If we're both on, I suppose that says something.
Yeah.
And I put Royal Spirit underneath. Todd Pletcher, firster. From Napoleon Company, Buy Into Mischief, that paid just under $500,000. There was a sibling called Fashionably, 12th in the debut, but then came back to win the second start, so there's win early there. That 7 furlong workout on the turf kind of jumped out at me. A little bit unusual, but it looks like a pretty good work. So that one's in the mix, and then Electability, Chad Brown, Klarvich. I just clearly pay attention to that team with first-time starters up here at Saratoga. So 8, 1, 3, and 10. Yeah, absolutely.
Talks about it for. I'm in agreement with the 8. I'd be happy to take 6, maybe 4. Maybe I'm completely out, but 8, 7, 4 in the opener.
Second race, more maiden special runners, more 2-year-olds. This time, 3/4 of a mile on the dirt.
5, 2, 3 for me, and I said it's the closest I believe my handicapping gets to voodoo, which is it's a big day. You know, wear your best clothes, perform your best. Jack Christopher, who's 9 to 5 on the morning line, first-time starter for Chad Brown, an offspring of Munnings. This is, I don't have any information, but the workouts seem to be rock solid for the debut. For second, number 2, Dr. Perry. Steve Asmussen's first-time starter, the offspring of Into Mischief, costs just under $700,000. And not to be left out, number 3, Be Better, Todd Pletcher. For Mike Rapoli, an offspring of Uncle Mo. If that doesn't scream, that's Mike Rapoli's stallion. Now this is go, and you got 2 others. Very interesting. You are not okay. You got 2 of the 3. You took Todd Pletcher's other runner, Frosted. All right.
Yeah, it's 7 to 1. 8 to 1. Yeah, the 7 at 8 to 1. 7, 2, 5, and 6. I thought Steinbeck, Frosted this year, 47 first-time starters, 6 wins, 3 seconds, 3 thirds. So I thought there was a little oomph there. The horse worked 21.2 before the sale of $650,000. There are a couple of workouts that look pretty good. Luis Saez on board, gets the outside attack position. I think this one
and just to fire these
really
things out, because Luis Saez just keeps on keeping on.
And then he was at Charlestown last night. He flew out of here and raced to Charleston, and
remember the old days? He used to get the helicopter to go to the West Virginia Derby when it was run at night.
Yeah,
Georgie Chavez.
Number 2, Dr. Perry underneath. Steve Asmussen with an Into Mischief runner. That July 24th gate workout down at Keeneland says this horse is going to be interesting. And then Jack Christopher, there's a sibling called Don't Rush that won its career debut. Was only a maiden claimer a couple of years ago at Gulfstream, going a mile though. But it is Chad Brown. It is the big day, as you say. And I will say, last night, I heard a little buzz about this horse. So
Chad Brown could win 20 the last 2 weeks.
Oh, man.
Imagine that.
The run he's been on the last few days is just incredible. But, yeah, there is a little buzz on this one, perhaps. So 7, 2, 5, and 6.
It pays to have a social calendar, as my partner has. On to the third open company, Fillies and Mares. Non-winners of one other than a mile and 16th on the Mellon turf course.
8, 6, 7, and 3, Love and Thunder on top. It's Chad Brown, and it's a horse that over the 3 starts this year, we have the buyer figures progressing nicely each start. Stuck in a little bit of a bridesmaid mode, but it just looks like may fit really nicely with this field. Secret Time in the second spot. Danny Gargan runner ran a decent little third on the move to Saratoga last time, took the lead, and got passed late by, among others, ran third, so a couple in front, but one of them was Love and Thunder. And then Kitten by the Sea for Todd Pletcher, another one, third start of the year, one last time on the front end and a starter allowance. But I think off of those 2 and maybe being primed for another little incremental move forward is going to fit nicely with this group. I have it 8, 6, 7, and 3.
Windfall Profit, my third place horse, I'll just touch on with Luis Saez. 4, Sugar Gay, he should get a good run into the first turn, carry him as far as they can for a small piece. 8, 6, 4.
I will say Golden Plume, the other Chad Brown runner in here, with Flavian Pratt on board, who's in town to ride. The buyer's a little light, but it was a debut in January at Tampa. I could certainly see that one.
You almost think going forward it's not practice because of how tough a day it is, but you're like, you could win 5 today.
Yeah. Fourth race, it is the Ballston Spa Grade 2 event, $400,000 up for grabs. 8.5 furlongs on the grass.
They didn't need this grade 2 for the pick 6. They had that covered. So it comes in race 4, 3-6-2 for me. Oh, this makes for exciting television. I mean,
the Chad factor.
There's 6 runners. Chad has half of them, and he has the heavy half of the 3. I mean, if there's 3 outsiders, they're not his. He has the 3 insiders, and I think which one do you more like? And for me, it was Joel Rosario on the 3, coming out of the Della Rose, breaking the winning streak. But that also was the first start since winning the Matriarch back Thanksgiving time. I thought that was a good comeback race. Got beat at 6-5. I have the 6 California Queen underneath. Flavian Prat takes that mount. How about this? Joel Rosario, Flavian Prat, and Irad Ortiz. What do you think it'd be in Vegas that he gets the trifecta in the Boston Spa? 3-6-2. I'm actually surprised that, not that these aren't the both that we had the 3, but we saw it the same way.
I could have.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Take any 3 of them.
Flip them around. Particularly the top 2, I could have flipped around very easily. I just went with Villadera again, hoping that the first start of the season gets this horse back to what we saw last season. And if we do that, I think Villadera does have the edge. So for me also, 3, 6, 2, and 4.
Now I have the ultimate voodoo coming up here in a moment. I know you're not a huge baseball fan, so I'll touch on it. 2-year-old state breds, main special weights, going 6.5 furlongs. Now, our Dick Powell and Nick Kling are very happy today. Why? The New York Mets are retiring, I kid you not, Jerry Kuzmin's jersey today.
Oh.
Look who draws the rail. Now, when these entries come out, I'm not a Mets fan, but I watch them from time to time. I had no idea. And then 2 days ago, I heard it was Jerry Kuzmin, because Nick Kling and Dick Powell will tell you he was the level of Seaver, maybe better. And they're retiring his jersey today down at Citi Field, and he breaks from the rail. That's as voodoo as I get, folks.
Absolutely. I have a 4, 6, 3, and 9. I put Whittington Park on top. This horse is a sibling to Critical Value, who is also owned by our friend Marshall Graham's 10 Strike Racing. But Critical Value started the career second and a couple of wins and wound up a couple of seasons ago to be the two-year-old New York bred filly champion. So there's some win early breeding here. Didn't quite live up to it in the debut, but they had the blinkers today. They have that one under the belt. Experience does count. I'm going to look for Whittington Park to get it done today. Brady's Legacy. Worked 21 flat before the April sale at Ocala. There's a sibling called Kept Waiting. We had 4th in the debut, then ripped off 3 seconds and got a win. So I thought there was a little win early type of potential there, or early talent. And then Miracle Nikki in the 3rd spot. This horse is kind of interesting. By Tapiture, who does very well with first-time starters, worked 10.2 before the sale. There's a sibling called Diamonds and Simon that won in the 3rd career start. So I thought there was a little bit of oomph there as well for Rudy and Irad and Mike Rapoli. And you're getting 8-1 on the morning line. If there's a price still involved there, post time, take a look at that one to at least toss into the mix. 4, 6, 3, and 9.
I have the same top pick here, making the second start. But it's Raw Courage to me, who has tried to run on turf in all 3 career starts. His offspring, a declaration of war, but though jumped in here after 2 off the turf slop efforts that were strong enough that they want to go in a 6.5 furlong dirt race. And I do have Kuzmin for 3rd, and I have to say, Tim Hill's got Luis Saez. I presume that phone call was made at a point, when the word was out and they get their pick. And it's a New York bred race. I'm just saying the voodoo part is the Kuzmin part. The fact that Tim Hill's reaches and gets Luis Saez at this point in the meet is heads up to me. 4, 5, 1.
6th race on this Saturday Travers Day afternoon is an allowance non-winners of 1 other than. Scheduled on the turf, 5.5 furlongs.
6-11, 10 for me. Charmed is my top pick, making the 3rd start in the United States, 3rd start this year. Some sharp workouts here. Ricardo Santana gets the mount back. Was aboard this horse at the spot, 12-1, hitting the board after stumbling at the break and losing the irons for 2nd. Number 11, Big Package. David Donks runner for 3rd. Not Jack Christopher, but Christopher. 6, 11, 10.
9, 11, 1, and 10. I put Shiraz on top. Luis Saez, Mike Maker, comes out of a win here over a yielding turf course back in July, but I think that sets the horse up well for this afternoon. Also in the second slot, I went to the number 11, Big Package. Comes in off a decent little second place finish for our friend Dave Donk. I read Ortiz on board. I think should be a player in with this bunch. And after 5, goes out for Wesley Ward. Be interested to see what the odds are on this one. I think off the last race, folks may shy away a little bit, but that was at 7 furlongs. I think the shorter distance, the return to a shorter distance, is going to be beneficial this afternoon. I think this horse will be a player, but as I say, I wonder if that last race darkens the form a little bit. We're looking at 5-1 on the morning line, which if you get that, or if the horse should tick up a little bit, I just don't know if that will happen. But I think after 5 live in here this afternoon, 9, 11, 1, and 10.
And we'll take a quick break. When we come back, an unbelievable pick 6.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Where's the best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the capital region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Handicapper Report coming to you live from Clare Court in the backstretch of Saratoga Race Course alongside Seth Merrow. I'm Anthony Mormino. Now, I'll be interested after this race how often we agree on these races. And folks, this is as good as it gets. A day at the racetrack. Up first, the Fillies and Mares going 7/8 in the Ballerina, which once saw about 18 consecutive losing favorites.
It's going to be interesting to see at the end of the year how many champions come out of today. Because I think coming into today, I would put at least 3 already. 3 at the top of their division right now: Latruska, Gamine, and Essential Quality. Certainly,
absolutely. No, 100%.
So again, we'll have to see how it works out at the end of the year. And I couldn't get past Gamine. 1, 7, 5, and 6. It just
I think 2 of them 3 of them might be locking up the championship today.
Well,
rare in the Breeders' Cup era, but as much as I love the Breeders' Cup, I think a win today by Essential Quality.
I could vaguely imagine a 3-year-old doing Pennsylvania Derby Breeders' Cup Classic. Maybe wrestles it away. I just don't see that happening. Is the thing. But
I don't think you get the championship if you do that.
I think it'd be tough, but I could kind of make the argument that
I think she locks up the championship here. We have it exactly the same. That's scary.
But it's just that she looked. I don't know what she faced out there at Los Al on July 5th, but she did it the way she was supposed to. So it seems like what we've seen so far, she has come back and is a 4-year-old just as good as she was as a 3-year-old, and you throw in the test as a race over the track, which was one of the more impressive performances here last year, unfortunately without fans. But
how about ever?
Yeah,
how about ever?
That's that with the 108 buyer, and like I say, you're throwing that and Tiz the Law and Swiss Skydiver fans. Really, it was unfortunate they couldn't be here for some of those shows, but she was one of them. And so Gamine on top. CC coming out of the Princess Rooney. I thought that was a pretty good effort, but then you add in the bullet work out at Del Mar that says she's holding her form. And a little bit later on Racing Across America, I will have Greg Foley, so Wisconsin in the mix for me as well. I think she's going to be really intriguing in here. I've put together a really nice little 4-year-old season so far. Clearly they've been pointing for this spot. Comes in off a bullet workout over at Ellis, Wisconsin. Very playable to me as well. If you're making a case against Gamine, I think it's awfully tough. I have it 1-7, 5, and 6.
I've tried before. I'm not trying again. Well, one thing I often think about with the Gamine, it's actually the first thing that I think about, and I've never seen a horse 1-10 in its debut in my entire life. And I've asked people to write in if they've ever seen one, but she was 1-10 on debut. And, she's had a couple instances. She lost to Kentucky Oaks. She got DQ'd, but, and the rail doesn't bother. She's got blazing speed. She'll get on the racetrack where she wants. I see it 1-7-5.
Let's turn the page to
here we
race
go. Let's
number
get some
8.
differences.
You just talk about a stakes day and a stakes card and a field. I can point to everybody in this field and just make some kind of comment of how talented they are, how much fun it's going to be to see them run. It's the Grade 1 4-go, 4-year-olds up, going 7 furlongs for $600,000.
And I think it's fair to say 6 are very live in here. I know
absolutely.
Mischievous Alex, I did not like him in the Vanderbilt, but people loved him, and he obviously raced poorly. You took the horse who's already won multiple Grade 1s and threw him out. I put him on top. 6 are in it. I think many people would be surprised if the 5 or the 6 win, although their buyers' numbers, are not good enough, I think, on clear, fast racetracks, so I would be surprised. But between the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 7, and the 8, knock yourselves out. As you can see, Seth and I kind of see it similar, except on top. You like Yalpan, who, I think, disappointed in the Breeders' Cup. We'll see coming back, but I have Mind Control. Likes it up here, makes a second start of the year after coming back in the Nehru, which I think used to be the old James Marvin up here years ago when it became the co-feature on opening day. I think that's what the Nehru is now. I think. I could be mistaken. But 2 for 4 up here. It's a wide open race. It's just wide open. I think I'm going to sit the Trippy more wants, which is getting a target. Yalpan, who was brilliant up here last year in the 2 starts, failed in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. In the 5th career start, has had 2 races this year, won the Light Diffuse on Independence Day, and has been correctly pointed out, Pimlico is one of those racetracks, when you watch it, they basically are up against the fence going 6 furlongs, so don't worry about 22 and 4. It's going to be faster than that. And then Whitmore, the old pro, for 3rd, 4-7-2 in the 4-go.
7, 3, 2, and 4 for me. I did put Yalpan on top. I mean, Steve asked me if over the past 3 years, anyway, just seems to be pumping out the sprinters. As mustn't.
Let us.
It seems to be. I said I would never.
I know you're not going to get this. I'm hoping about 500 with Rob Atras for you. If I can get one of the 2 on a steady beat, I consider it a victory.
Pretty much, I think, closer to. But
so if I could just get Steve Asmussen to sit down with you, I could maybe right this ship.
Well, yeah, that's probably true. But he seems to be pumping out really good stakes quality sprinters over the past few years. And this is one of them, given what we saw up here last year. The allowance race was really good. And then the follow-up in the Amsterdam, very, very good. I thought, went over and tried the Golden Shaheen. That didn't work out. Then they had a little time off and came back on July 4th. I thought the comebacker said this horse is back to what we saw last year or better now as a 4-year-old. And so I'll put that one on top. Lexingtonian, I just couldn't get past the Vanderbilt score. Now, there's a difference between 6 furlongs and 7 furlongs, but this horse has had success at 7 furlongs. And again, that last just seems to indicate really good form right now. Will the horse be able to hold it and duplicate that's going to be the big question. And then Whitmore, who, boy, at 8 years old, still running really, really well for Ron Maquette. And we had Ron and his wife on earlier before the Vanderbilt. I thought it was a good third place finish in the Vanderbilt. I think the horse will be a player in this race. Won this race, I believe, 2 years ago. The Forego did Whitmore. So, again, I'm going to toss
that was
one
his
into
grade
the mix.
one, I think, before the Breeders' Cup, right? I don't think he has a lot of grade ones. I mean, there aren't as many chances for sprinters as other, but I think the Forego was his breaking out.
And again, just a fan favorite kind of a horse, and so going to be easy to root for, certainly. In the 8th, the Forego, 7, 3, 2, and 4.
And we'll do one more before the break. We cannot agree in this race. Of all the times when they have renamed a race, this is one of the best jobs ever, because this has been a great race almost since its inception in the middle 80s, and Mr. Jerkins was a great human being. And a couple of years ago, they took away the King's Bishop and they named it the H. Allen Jerkins, correctly so. It is a short field. This is a day that's very tough for trifecta players, for me, in a couple of these races, because there's 6 or 7 horses. But boy, they are great horse races, and this is one of those. We cannot agree. There's no way. Drum roll, there's no way we agree. Oh, we almost agree. Jeez.
Close.
You got Following C in there. Just, just couldn't go too high.
On the cutback.
Yeah, the cutback.
6, 2, 4, and 1, though, for me. I have really liked Jackie's Warrior throughout the career. Another really nice sprinter for Steve Asmussen. And comes out of the win in the Amsterdam. And I really wanted to go in that direction, but Life is Good, moving into the barn of Todd Pletcher. And again, I interviewed Todd a little bit later, and I'll just give you a hint. I said, what was he like when he came into your barn? He said, as advertised. And so, and I said that why this spot, and, a layoff going back to March. Obviously, you can't go into the Travers and do the 1.25 miles off a layoff like
Probably
that.
not.
So they drop into the 7. But I just look at what he's done so far. Mike Smith's going to come in to ride. I'm going to be intrigued to see what he does. I really like Jackie's Warrior. I wanted to put Jackie's Warrior on top, but I looked at those gaudy numbers. And so I'm with Life is Good, slightly over Jackie's Warrior. And yeah, Following C. Todd, again, talks a little bit about Following C as well, and thought, he was maybe a little bit better in the Haskell than the finishing position might indicate. But I just like to cut back to the sprint again today for that one. Drain the Clock, boy, earlier this year was just running very well, obviously, down at Gulfstream. And I don't think that second in the Amsterdam was bad. I mean, he was well beaten by Jackie's Warrior, but might set him up nicely for today as well. So that horse is interesting also. Again, I think all 4 that I've talked about are just part of a powerhouse Jerkins in here, but I have it 6, 2, 4, and 1.
Well, I mean, somebody's got to push Jackie's Warrior. I mean, that's the key to the race to me. I'm against Jackie's Warrior, but even I didn't see even money for Jackie's Warrior in this field. I mean, it is going
to be really interesting to see how they shake out. Life is Good and Jackie's Warrior.
I think it's a rare case in New York where the morning line favorite is going to be a higher price. It's a great race. I mean, I have not been a big fan of Drain the Clock. So that wasn't much of a reach for me. Judge and Jury, off the layoff, runs a hole in the wind. New Bomb shows some early speed, but to me, this is, Life is Good coming off the bench for this race. Wouldn't surprise you. But Following C, just to cut back, and this is the one that's clearly going to be the price in here, and things have to break the right way. Probably has to run a length or 2 faster, but I just took the price here. It's 4.62 to me. I think this is a 3-horse race, and I want the longest shot.
It's going to be the pace, as you alluded to, is going to be really.
Well, it's an issue.
Looking up at those, the first fraction, going to be really intriguing.
Well, because you're thinking that.
I just don't see anybody with kind of the stalk and pounce style in here, really.
What kind of trip you think Life is Good is going to cut out for himself?
Well, he's outside and he's never done anything, but
he's going to be right there. I just don't think he's going to be the one like we saw in the West Point yesterday. A good old fashioned like eyeball to eyeball. Let's throw down from the dropping of the flag. I'd like to see that.
Mike Smith, when he thinks he has the best horse, he does not hesitate to make a move. So it's going to be interesting to see how the pace plays out. Particularly at 7 furlongs, where it has a far more significant effect, I think, than a 6 furlong race.
It's so great. It's so great. We're only halfway through the Pick 6, ladies and gentlemen. Take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Grade 1 action.
Welcome to the West. I'm Scott Varley at Saratoga's latest and greatest high-rise luxury condo. Starting in the mid-5s, every condo here has 2 bedrooms and 2 baths and upgrades, just like this. Check out these oversized private balconies. We also have a gym, a private lounge, and get this, a heated parking garage. To make a reservation for your private condo at the West, call or text me. I'm Scott Varley at 518-281-6808.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to the Handicapper Support, the early edition. There is an early 11:35 post time here at Saratoga. Keep that in mind today.
So we got you here early this morning. You got all this energy. My goodness.
So we started a little early. That means racing across America at 9 o'clock today. So keep that in mind at the top of the hour. Again, a great lineup there as well.
Good job, by the way. I don't think people understand how difficult it is to produce, for Seth to produce his show. You know, this is easy. They already drew the entries, but for what the hoops that Seth has to jump through and Brian to put together a show, you can't imagine unless you've done it.
Appreciate the recognition. I'll also tip my cap to the guys in the trailer and the guys down in Albany. They do a great job putting it together. And I'm laughing because when we went over to Chad's barn, he was actually doing. If folks watch the Fox shows, they have Jonathan Kinchin does the Jonathan Kinchin in the cart interviews.
Yes.
So they were actually just getting ready for that, and we hung around until Chad was done with that for our tape.
Tomorrow the horse that's named after Kitchen is running, right?
Yes.
But somebody's indicated. I think Andy Sterling said it's named after his dad. I didn't know if Andy was kidding or not, because I don't know Jonathan at all, so I don't know what. I don't know if he was teasing.
I don't know, but Bob Edwards, and because that was part of what they were shooting as well. But I'm laughing because they get in the cart, they drive away, and then behind them in another cart are a bunch of production people. And there were more production people in the cart behind them than we have.
Yes.
So, they weren't kidding. They weren't kidding around. Personal Ensign is race number 10 on this Saturday afternoon. $600,000, 9 furlongs the trip, and as I mentioned before, I think you're looking at a potential champion in here, but certainly the leader of this division at this point with Latruska.
Well, I think it's an interesting moment here because I like the horse you're at for third. I think Swiss Skydiver is working towards a championship too, and I think today is the day when, you know, like sailing, that the attack is on. I like Swiss Skydiver. Think of it what you will, the Whitney, but if you think Nick's Go is one of the best dirt horses in America, you know, it was rather well reported, the issue in the Ken McPeak barn, and so it wasn't smooth sailing for Swiss Skydiver, who won the Alabama impressively last year. It's the second start since April. I like Swiss Skydiver, and I think she starts to make the older filly or mare championship very intriguing. On the other hand, if my second pick, your top pick, wins, I think that's just about it. I think this is a big moment. I don't usually like to hold a year-long championship on one moment, but that's what's great about sports. And you know, talked about it the other day with Malthat. If she had won the Coaching Club American Oaks, there would have been far less on the line in the Alabama for her. But since she had lost by 2 feet, it meant a lot, and she threw the hammer down and locked up that championship. This is all 4-6 to me, and I like the 4. Going to be a better price, and I thought the Whitney was a very good effort. She's run fast enough before, and hopefully she's back on the program for Ken McPeak, and I have Latruska, the Pro Tem leader of the division. Done nothing wrong, appears to be working out nicely for this effort today. So, you know, she won the SUV last year here. She's going to have to run faster than that, but I like Swiss Skydiver. And then for third, as time goes by, for Bob Baffert. But this is what horse racing is really good about, is a showdown. I'm surprised you split me with Harvey's Little Goyle, but that's fine. But I think it's a real showdown between the two top fillier mares.
I just couldn't get past Latruska, just working very well for this, and has looked just phenomenal in the last 3. The Apple Blossom, the Phipps, the Fleur de Lis now comes up here, and since arriving here has put in a bullet workout. As you say, she has a win over the track already in a graded stakes race last year in the Shoe V. I put Latruska on top. I thought Harvey's little Goyle was interesting, moving back to the dirt, but this is one of those horses, one of those rare horses that seems equally talented, turf or dirt. Comes in with a bullet work, and I'll put a little trust in Bill Mott to be making an interesting decision here. Luis Saez on board, that doesn't hurt either. So I'm going to look for maybe a little bit of an upset there. I'm rooting for Swiss Skydiver. You know, you mentioned it, for people who aren't familiar, the barn that Ken McPeak was in earlier in the meet, another trainer had a horse test positive for the equine herpes, I believe it was. But that meant the whole barn had to go under quarantine. None of McPeak's horses tested positive. They just were under the quarantine, which meant special training hours. They couldn't enter. So this one and a little bit later, King Fury, these races they used were kind of plan Bs. The Whitney wasn't really the plan. So given the whenever you're off your plan, I shy away a little bit. But I agree. I think the 4th was okay behind Nick's Go last time. And again, last year, one of the better performances here was her win in the Alabama. So she's certainly shown something of affinity for the track. So I'm not arguing, I'm rooting for her as well.
I want to say this about Swiss Skydiver. We're actually doing good on time, which is rare for when I'm on the day. And it appears now to me, and for whatever the reason is, and I guess we'll say the pandemic, she is never going to get what she deserves for the Preakness. She beat Authentic. She didn't beat Mind That Bird. She beat Authentic. And I just think people are walking around because of the time of year it was and obviously the world we live in. That was one of the best wins of the decade.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Authentic, you know, he didn't go 0 for his career after the Kentucky Derby. And she beat him.
And I mean,
and it was a huge performance. It was like ding dong, ding dong, and she, you know, a lot of horses didn't beat the Kentucky Derby winner last year, but she did, and I never hear the talk about her as that was one of the, I have to tell you, of, I don't know, 50 years of watching classics, so that's about 150, certainly in the top 20 without even thinking about her performances, and I just don't think she gets the oomph or the push from it that she earned that day beating Authentic in a great race. You know, you just don't think about it that time of year.
It was definitely a super effort. A couple of starts after the Alabama. She then went to the Kentucky Oaks and ran second to She Dares the Devil. And then they took their shot in the Preakness with the 105 Buyer.
Which means if she ran second to She Dares the Devil, it means she beat Gamine. Now, that might not be what Gamine most wants to do, 9 furlongs on the dirt, but that seems to be a pretty good Kentucky Oaks.
Yeah, so again, I'm rooting for her after that big season
last year.
Throw it down,
like the squirrels out here. Go at it.
Yeah, there's a
oh, yeah, they know it's Travers Day.
Yeah, they're going nuts.
They are.
In the 10th, though, the personal answer, 6, 8, 4, and 5.
And except for the dirt horse in here, which, you know, Todd Pletcher's in the Hall of Fame. I don't know, maybe he was hoping for a rain. Who can't win the Grade 1 Sword Dancer?
Yeah,
all of them.
Absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
How good does that get?
I went 1, 7, 4.
How often have you ever seen a Grade 1 race where every single horse that really you would think, if Moretti wins this, it'd be one of the great I mean, what's he doing here?
You know, I thought about
hoping
that
for
in the
rain?
interview too, and they're looking. No, I think they were looking for distant. You know, taking
Oh.
a shot and
So he thought,
distance.
I'll take on these guys.
You know, that
There are
would be the
6
one
turf horses in here. I won't bat an eye.
I'm
We
right.
have 5 of the 6.
I'm right with you, and I left the Aidan O'Brien runner out. That may be a huge mistake. I've said it for at least the past couple
so?
of years, maybe longer. It used to be a horse like that would have been an automatic. Now I'm just not so sure.
Automatic play or automatic toss?
Automatic use. Automatic use on
okay.
the top. The Europeans,
Okay.
when they came
All
over,
right.
you went in that
All right.
direction. It was maybe within the last 10 years I've started to shy away from that. Certainly the last 5 more and more, because I think, I don't know what, I think they have maybe more big money events over there that they can point to with their top horses. But that said, it's Aidan O'Brien and it's Ryan Moore, a horse coming out of a group win over in Ireland. And again, I may kick myself that I left that one out. But I went with the Chad Brown runner, Trebuven on top, off of 3 nice starts so far this year, including the win in the United Nations last time out. Cross border. I mentioned it yesterday when we were talking about the New York bred program. New York breds on the top level of the game, as we saw last year with Tis the Law, they can run with anybody, and that includes New York bred cross border, who won the Bowling Green last
It's sure
time.
different than when it started, when we were young men, wasn't it?
I had
It was
Ben
laughable, but now
Naj
it's...
Thompson on with me, who's the executive director now of the New York Breeders, and I brought that up, and I mentioned Fiorito and the change in the program from when I was a kid to these days, certainly. And
You
cross
talk
border.
about horses being a toss, a New York bred and open stakes company in the old days.
Yeah, no question. But off of that one, Luis Saez sticks on board, and then Channel Maker won this race last year. Certainly off the Bowling Green, you can't get super excited. But I thought if this horse could maybe get back and remember some of those better efforts, maybe gets out there on the front end. There's a little other speed.
I forgive
in here,
horses
but
a lot
maybe.
when they make that comeback race from traveling halfway around
Yeah,
the
no
world.
question
I always
about
give
it.
them a lot,
That-
so much
yeah.
latitude off of that the first time. I had a close friend that, and travel and everything has changed, but his rule of thumb used to be 6 months when they made that trip. And there weren't many to make, but it was like 6 months before you
And I
get
remember
your...
when this horse won the race last year in the winner's circle. Afterwards, Bill Mott was saying tough to ride, and so everything
Not
kind of
easy.
has to work out right for him and whatnot. But I have it 1-7, 4, and 3.
Well, the 2 is the only horse that we haven't touched. Moretti, the 5, I just don't think has a chance against these turf horses. The distance might be what they're looking for. Best of luck to them. We have the other 5 of the 6, and it was very close to you. I thought Cross Border was a nice win in the Bowling Green. We'll have to improve off of that. Japan, well, it was a couple years ago, but won the Juddmonte International, which is one of the great races in the world. Now, I will say this: Crystal Ocean used to get so much pub for not winning races. So I don't know what I think about that Juddmonte International. But look at this: Enable, Magical. Those are big names. Now, this is a 5-year-old, but it is Galileo on top. I did not throw the 6 out. But at the end, when I thought, looking at the fact that I think 6 of 7 can win the race, Rock Emperor at 6-1 is my pick in here. Previously has probably run well enough. Needs to trend up, I think, a few more lengths, but that's what Chad Brown's been going. You know, his barn's been going. And maybe Rock Emperor is about to top out here, and I can maybe get $14 in what I think is a wide open race. I would not be surprised if Channel Maker runs well. I told you, the only surprise I'll have, honestly, is if Moretti hits the board against these 6. These are 6 long distance turf. This is a grade 1 race. 3, 6, 7.
I'm going to be
for me.
interested to see, given the philosophy I've talked about, where I've changed a little bit on the Europeans, Japan may be a good barometer of whether I should recalculate, because, as you say, you go back a couple of years and he wins the Juddmonte, but then last year was kind of a lost year with no wins, no seconds, and 5 starts. And this year, comes out of the Group 3 win. So you think, is he still a horse he was then? But it's Aidan O'Brien, it's Ryan Moore, a horse with some backlash. I'm just kind of noticing also, the Group 3 win last time, he had 140 pounds. He's getting a 20-pound weight break this afternoon.
Now, I'll tell you one thing that you made a good choice on many years ago, going back like 25, 30 years ago. The rule of thumb I used to use for earnings for the Europeans to come over here was to multiply it times 3 to get a feel for them, because they had these very prestigious dynamic races. The old QE2 mile in the autumn, which used to be a prep for the Breeders' Cup, all those races, they ran for very little purse in Europe, and they saw the problem. And that's what helped the Arlington Million for its first 20 years. They had, and Arlington Million would have needed to have been about $3 million, first off, for adjusting for inflation. And why we started getting the second and third tier of the Europeans was it didn't stick out anymore on money. They started really pushing in money into the purse of the European, and I think that's why you've correctly seen that we haven't seen their better ones, because their better ones can now run for appropriate dollars over there. That wasn't the case 20, 30 years ago. They ran for 30 cents on the dollar almost. You know,
now
for
the end of the year, they have that big Champions Day.
At Newmarket, and then ARC weekend, they're running for, what, $5 million in the ARC, which is appropriate, but they didn't run that way for a long time, money-wise.
Are we break? Do we need one more?
We do. Well, we have one more break after.
Okay, all right. So we will go to the marquee event, not just of the day, but of the meet every year. The Grade 1 Travers, $1.25 million up for grabs as 3-year-olds will travel the classic distance of 1.25 miles. And again, as mentioned earlier, the current leader in the division, Essential Quality, is in here, and some others that are chasing and trying to establish themselves as this second part of the 3-year-old season develops. What are your thoughts on the Travers?
You know, I think there's a small subset of horses that can win this race. Unlike what we've gone through brilliantly today, I only thought, I don't know. I think there's a small group that can win the Travers Stakes here. Essential Quality, I'll just stand. I call it the curling angle, Seth. I probably have been most impressed with his defeat in the Kentucky Derby versus his wins.
His only defeat.
Yep. I mean, he just. And if the idea is that Brad Cox has him, dialed in now, and he won the Jim Dandy on talent alone, and the screws are tight today, boy, oh boy. I mean, he just the horse to beat. I think there is a chance, and this is the downside to me, Seth, that you have a feel for this, I think, maybe better than me. I could see him 2-5. I mean, this is a fan's day. You think
that seems a little
low? All right, he's 4-5 in the morning line. I think it's Essential Quality. I think he locks up the 3-year-old championship today. Midnight Bourbon would be my wise guy horse. Going there was runner-up to Rumbauer in the Preakness Stakes. And keep me in mind, coming out of the Jim Dandy, running second to the winner, who's my top pick in here. I'm 2-1-3, and I think you talked earlier about champions. I think this is our 3-year-old colt champion for 2021.
You would have to think so, certainly with the win today. But I looked and looked, and it was
and eventually a third place finish in the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, I looked and looked, and thought, do I have an alternative in here? But again, he's the leader of the division at this point, and he is because he has been good as a 2-year-old, early in the 3-year-old season, through the Triple Crown, winning the Belmont. I think the rest of these, there are some in here who were players early in the 3-year-old season and players on the Triple Crown, but they were like Midnight Bourbon and keep me in mind, more second stringers then. And maybe now that they have a chance to kind of announce themselves a little bit later on. But the horses who were the real players in that, horses like Medina Spirit, Mandaloon, and Hot Rod Charlie aren't here, obviously. So again, I think that those type are kind of the second stringers. And then there's maybe some new shooters, so to speak, like Miles D, Masquerade, King Fury, who I thought could be interesting off that Lexington win earlier this year in the Triple Crown, but again had a couple of setbacks. So I couldn't get past Essential Quality. So I have that one on top. I will say, off the Curlin win, which was the buyer best, and seems to indicate that maybe Dynamic One is now a better horse. Dynamic One, really interesting to me. Keep me in mind, gave Essential Quality all he could ask for. I think this horse could be live as well, and Masquerade, the win in the Ohio Derby, was very good. And Al Stahl, at the draw the other morning, said Masquerade was working as good as ever. I kind of was raving about the work, and so that struck me as well. So I have a 2, 4, 3, and 6.
Well, for the small tickets on the pick 6, I'm going to guess those single gamine and essential quality on the backside. Good luck with the middle 4. We're going to take our next break, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see what we have going. We know we have the walkout race, but we'll be right back.
Welcome to Albany County, an incredible destination to live, work, and play, with easy connections to more than a dozen cities from our vibrant modern airport. It's a short trip downtown to a hive of culture and amusement, from world-class shows at the newly renovated Times Union Center to reliving the past at the New York State Museum. From outdoor recreation to shopping to nightlife, Albany County has something for everyone. We'll see you soon.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. Here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Papa. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart very dominant. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
The Capital Region has some of the most sophisticated horse racing fans in the country. That's why Capital OTB built the Clubhouse Racebook. Here you can wager year-round on the best horse racing from around the world. The Clubhouse also has monthly promotions including live bankrolls, handicapping contests, and so much more. Like sports? Watch your favorite teams on more than 30 screens in Legends Field Sports Grill. Food, sports, and the excitement of championship horse racing. Only at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
At DePaula, we think of our customers as family, so we want your experience to be fair and easy. Family owned since 1980, DePaula means quality and convenience, along with concerned and certified technicians. So come join the family and thank DePaula for all your automotive needs. At DePaula, we think of our customers as family, so we want your experience to be fair and easy. Over $2 million in original factory parts means you receive the very best for any make or model. So come join the family and thank DePaula for all your automotive needs.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, at approximately 6:51. The 13th race, Maiden Claimers, New York State bred fillies and mares, 8.5 on the melon. Just throw out your numbers here.
Yeah, get a pen ready because I have 2 AEs in here, so I have extra horses. I have a 12, 14, 6, and 1.
This is not the day for extra horses.
The 13 and the 10 also, and the 14 and the 13 are AEs. Now, just quickly, Sister Luck made special weight to Maiden Claiming, moving into the Todd Pletcher barn. The debut effort down at Fairgrounds, I think, was probably good enough. Now stretches out on the turf, a good enough number. Now stretches out on the turf, so I want that one. 12, 14, 6, and 1. 13 and the 10 also, as I said.
I have the long shot here, number 7, Tesla on top, first time starter for Jimmy Bond. Look at Jimmy Bond's first numbers. 5%, his ROI, $5.71. When you're 1 for 20, folks, you can do the math. If you're coming back at 571, 714 wraps it up. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, it's not a sunny beach day, but to come to the racetrack with many people in the stands, it's going to be comfortable. The racing is going to be outstanding. It is as good as it gets. The grade 1 racing, I make the over-under 2.5, and I would take over champions you're going to see today of 2021. Not the ones in the rearview mirror, but 2021, because we got 3 of them, right? We already know, right? We got the 3-year-old champ, we got the 2-year-old champ, and we got the filly or mare sprint champ. So we got that. I think we get 3 more today. He stays, I go. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your Travers Day 2021.
You've been watching the Handicappers Report. The Handicappers Report has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. The new Capital OTB wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with the new Capital OTB wagering platform. And CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State.